The story of Bungie begins deep in the Swedish countryside, in the tiny fishing village of Askersund, where the farmers would gather each...
Askersund? I'll put my boot in your Askersund. Now listen up. Bungie starts here. Sweet Home Chicago, 1991.
That year I was taking an artificial intelligence class, and Jason was in that class.
I was working on a game, and Alex was trying to start a company.
Where Jason is actually a lot like a shipboard AI, where most of the time it does miraculous work that nobody else could do, and then the other times it's, crazy.
This is what I think of the Computer Game Developers Conference.
We just got to talking and thought maybe we should try partnering up.
And I finished that first game for the company that became Bungie.
Two guys come up with a manifesto. 7 steps to world domination.
They were handed down from on high. They came from Providence.
7 steps to world domination.
Because that's the best number. It's like rock. Nothing beats rock or 7.
7 steps? I've only been here 6 years. They don't trust you overnight.
If I could just run more than 7 steps, I think we'll start there, and then we'll see where we go.
Yeah, start independent gaming company. Is there an addendum that says remain independent? Because we should have put that in there.
Bungie Studios started properly in 1991.
We tried it out and it worked really good. We just kept going.
Every time you eat a piece of pizza, you have to cross something off. Right?
But it was kind of like, being in a band, because it was our lives, 24/7.
We didn't have any idea what we were really doing.
I think Tunster needs to get the shaft.
There are a variety of ways one can get the shaft. Getting rid of the shaft, that's a trickier proposition.
Every 2 weeks, someone's gonna get the shaft. So, Harold, you are the proud owner of the shaft for the next 2 weeks.
Well, the name Bungie is actually a very dirty, dirty joke. Well, it's a punchline of a very dirty joke, which I'm afraid I can't reveal.
I can't talk about why the company's called Bungie.
That's top secret stuff.
The original Bungie offices, which you can see across the street, brown brick building there, we occupied the 2nd floor. It had character. This is where we would eat our burritos, probably 4 out of 5 days of the week. This building used to be the bug stop. It was like open 24 hours or something.
And there was that crack house behind the building.
Some guys come running up to the car side door and we're like, what the hell's going on here? And he holds up this trash bag and he's like, come on, buy some porn, buy some porn. And we're like, no thanks. That was sort of the ambiance of the neighborhood in the old place. It was awesome.
So let's just say that step 2 is immensely destructive.
Bungie grew up making games for the Mac.
Hello. I think I had pretty modest ambitions at the time and didn't come close to achieving them the first time out of the gate, or the second time. But we stuck with it.
And we ended up with Pathways.
I had some friends that used to play Pathways in the darkness all the time.
Which was our first, I would say, successful game, that made a profit, and we were able to start hiring some people to help us out.
First Bungie game I ever heard of was Marathon.
Let's just say that it's a grand galactic space opera with mystical overtones.
That was the first-person shooter on the Macintosh, where you could connect with other friends and actually play head-to-head.
Whoa, you guys!
So how close is Marathon at this point?
Well, we shipped by August Macworld 97. We'll all be really happy.
Yeah, Marathon was our breakout project, really. A lot of people really liked the game.
Marathon made me dizzy.
I think at that time, honestly, Mac owners would have been excited by Space Invaders in a tube.
One of the first games I ever played where I really got a sense of a community around an actual game was Myth.
We developed it for the Mac and the PC at the same time.
Myth is a real-time strategy.
But it's much more like an arcade game.
You use the terrain to your advantage, which isn't something that a whole lot of games did at the time.
It was all about the quick combat and micromanagement of troops. It was a lot of fun.
The ability to play multiplayer against strangers and friends has been a foundation for other things that we've gone on to do really well.
The game Phoenix was what we worked on after Myth 2. And it was called Phoenix because that's what kind of rose out of the ashes of the Myth 2 project.
It was still in that same sort of medieval kind of magical time frame.
We worked on a number of different giant medieval style weapons like big catapults and trebuchets.
Lots of magic, lots of swordplay.
You went around as a big minotaur with an axe and beat the crap out of skeletons.
There were a bunch of very fun components to it, but Phoenix never really caught fire. You would play with it and you would go, well, this is like maybe 5 minutes of fun, and after that it's just not fun anymore. So you would scrap that and then you would just move on to the next thing.
Without further ado, let me go back to Peter, who has managed to rustle up a fan, who I hear has a pretty stupid trick for us.
We got into the world of television with Bungie TV largely thanks to the ego and ability of Joseph Staten.
Oh, he's got a leg in. He's down. He's in. He's in. Jeff is in the can. That was back in the day before the internet's tubes were big enough to shove all the things through. So, we've been putting together a tour of the ONI facilities.
Here we have the Bungie West parking lot, the central portion of the Bungie offices. This looks like a paperwork disaster. The entertainment area, which is a little messy.
The West Coast office of Bungie started with ONI, which was a third-person shooter.
We called it full contact action.
The Matrix had just come out, and that was really sort of a big influence on the animation.
The main character for Oni is Kanoko. She's strong but vulnerable. Just something to pique that sense of chivalry that is like really undeveloped in the hearts of young men.
Step 3, you cut a hole in a box. Some people think that's step 1, but to me it's step 3.
Yeah, nothing says killer, hardcore, rough and tumble like Halo.
Paul Russell is the father of Halo.
I came up with the name Halo, and it was not received well. Jason was leaning more towards Redshift. Covenant was one of them. I thought it sounded like a bad 80s hair band. You know, Covenant.
Halo is an epic journey to save humanity from a terrible menace. That's all it is. That's good. They should put that on the box.
It was going to be really important to Microsoft to have games for the Xbox. That's what was going to make or break it. We got very excited about the opportunity to be a launch game on a platform.
I remember seeing just a single texture on a wall with a flashlight going, wow, this is going to be awesome. And it was way before the Xbox even looked like the Xbox and way before Halo even looked like Halo.
That's the first version of the Warthog, I guess, huh? Yeah. Man, this isn't Halo, dude. Man, this is really, really old.
We had a huge map for a continuous RPG game, and for that we had an RTS.
And then next thing you know, it was a third person, and we were playing it in our office.
People probably want to know why we switched from third person to first person.
Jason again.
Yeah, it's damn Jason, man.
That's what happens when your lead is a crack addict.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, Halo depended on a lot of that early wandering.
And we never really knew how people were going to receive it. Like 6 months before we shipped, we went to E3 with a build of the game, and nobody liked it. You know, people played it and they're like, frame rate's not so good. Well, what's all this hype, Halo?
Good luck, Master Chief.
Evolving over a long period of time, Halo's turned into something much bigger than a video game.
Because we're creating a world. You can't open, history books and whatnot to read about Halo. This is a world that's been created.
And this progress attracted the attention of someone who, in many respects, was all that we aspired to be. Did we let this attention go to our heads? No, we did not. And little did we know it, but Bungie was on the auction block, and we all of us soon found ourselves strangers in a strange land.
When Microsoft bought us, some people were totally incensed because they grew up from the Mac side of things and felt like, this was a sellout.
Greed, pure and simple, cashed it in, sold our souls.
A lot of the team was pretty young and didn't have a lot of attachments, so the opportunity to go somewhere new was pretty exciting. I think for some of us, myself included, with family in Chicago, it was maybe a little bit more bittersweet.
We got on a plane, we came out here, and we haven't really looked back,
We were expecting a final sales number to be 700,000 units, and then it just went through the roof.
Why? Because of my pretty face. Hoorah!
Step 4 didn't really go very well.
Which one was step 4?
Which one's step 4?
Do you know what step 4 is?
Right, we gotta get a picture of the Bungie food.
I know back in the day in Chicago, there was a very infamous Chinese food restaurant we used to order from.
They used to just deliver us crazy amounts of Chinese food all the time.
What's this crap? That looks good.
Ming Choi is the one place that you can get roasted chicken, pizza, and barbecued pork fried rice
all delivered within 20 minutes.
I don't think that really accelerated the process development so much as it sort of filled it with a lot of bathroom breaks.
Because Halo 1 happened really big, I don't think there's any doubt that there wasn't going to be a Halo 2.
We're like, we should do another one, you know, because we're out of margaritas and, you know, they're expensive. We're gonna need more.
Halo 2 is moving. Time begins to crawl. But we're still not telling if we'll ship this fall. Maybe Bungie needs to see Robbie give a piece to me. A piece to me.
Bet you can't stick it.
You're on.
Halo 2 led us to step 5 of our plan for world domination.
We were supposed to get the orbital defense station. That was step 5.
I forget step 5.
But Microsoft said that if they're going to build an orbital space station, that it's going to be running Windows, and we didn't want to be going up there.
Oh, it's been recovered. We're trying to move on to giving it away.
Ling Ling is a severed dog's head in a jar.
One of the guys from the Chicago office had a roommate who was a medical student, and he brought Ling Ling home as homework. He moved out and left Ling Ling behind, and she's been here ever since.
Of all the Chicago traditions we should have left behind.
The last thing you want to see when you pop open your closet is a severed dog's head.
Other people just run away or barf. But Ling Ling's head, if you have faith, it's going to help us dominate.
If you want to dominate, try this puppy.
There were a lot of reasons that it was important for us to move to another building. One is that Bungie is all about having its own identity.
It was because of the parking, man. I mean, now they have valets, so maybe that would have changed things.
A lot of people just felt like we were just part of the Borg.
There's definitely a great deal of love between Bungie and Microsoft. And when Microsoft hits us, it's because it loves us.
They made us walk like 200 yards to the bathroom.
Being in this sort of stale cube farm type environment isn't very conducive to being creative.
Like Matt Noguchi would sprint all the way to the bathroom and just barely make it. I mean, barely. Like, that's why there's this big puddle of piss in front of the urinals.
I think the main reason we moved is we just got bigger. I don't forget how many people we had on Halo 1, maybe 40-ish, and apparently we've got 200 people in the building now. I mean, we're huge.
The new place is a lot more like, I think when my dad came to visit, he was like, oh my God, this place looks like the set of 24 or something.
It's like a fortress of solitude right next to a Starbucks.
Well, it is a little dark. A cave is a good description for it. The interior is like a big, giant, open pit.
We like the big open office environment because we think that communication is very important.
This is the Bungie coat of arms. Basically, the Latin says, don't make us kick your ass.
All I gotta say is we're on Halo 3 right now. That's all.
Halo 3 has been pretty much freaking awesome from the beginning.
Crazy fool. Why do you always jump?
This is humanity's final stand. Here, at Earth.
Halo has a life of its own, and it lives and breathes and consumes everything in its path.
Step 7 had something to do with getting more women to work at the company, but that's not going so high.
I'm actively working on number 7 every day, and laying out my schemes, my plans.
You're either an ally or an enemy, so you must choose a side.
Because when you get to 7, someone's got to do it.
On that final day, when our enemies find themselves all standing together on a giant cargo net, on a highly sprung giant mechanism waiting to be hurled into the sun, they will look to themselves and say, this agenda has been posted publicly on Bungie Net for 7 years, and we paid no attention. If only we'd looked.
10 years into the future, it's hard to imagine.
Wow, 10 years in the future.
Where's this whole thing going?
Not making Halo games.
After Halo 3 ships, it's going to be an interesting time for us.
My fear is that we make the greatest game in the world and nobody buys it.
It's all about where's the candy and where's the death. I want the candy. I don't want the death. So I think in 10 years, games are going to be a lot more fun.
I'm trying to recreate some of that wandering we did at the beginning of Halo 1 and we did at the beginning of Pathways.
Keeping everyone super motivated, hoping that we're going to create something beautiful.
Hopefully Chucky won't be clipping his toenails in the middle of the
meeting room.
10 years in the future, I just want to be making games.
Ha! Talk to me after the next trilogy. I'm going to be in there, right?
Okay, here we go.
So, Jen, are you ready?
Uh-huh.
This is 110LB, a rescue Cortana.
Yeah, Jen, before you start, this is like the climax of the game. Obviously, you've been captured, and now Master Chief is rescuing you. So,
Okay. It's good to see you, Chief. I do know how to pick them.
fans have been waiting 3 years for this moment where the Chief finally rescues Cortana. So,
Okay.
all the fanboys across the world are going to be waiting.
Fanboys?
You do know what I mean, right?
I had to admit, I didn't exactly.
The only way to stop the flood is to
I've been doing the voice of the AI character Cortana for 6 years now, from the Pillar of Autumn to the Portals of High Charity.
Don't make a girl a promise.
If you know you can't keep it. But the truth is, I'd never really gotten to know the fans we make the game for.
Claude Herrera.
Claude Herrera.
Where do I find him?
Within hours, I was on a plane heading east. My goal, to meet the fans I'd been hearing about. Why did they care so much? After 6 years and 3 games, it was time to find out.
Hi.
Hi, I'm looking for Claude.
I guess that would be me.
Fantastic. I'm Jen
Come on
from
in.
Bungie.
My search started in New York City. When it comes to Halo fans, Claude Herrera knows everyone. Modders and noobs. I'd heard about them all, but I'd never met them. I wasn't sure exactly what to expect, but I was about to get an introduction.
You have built a website that keeps everybody informed of what's going on.
There's a whole section on fan fiction, people writing stories based in the Halo universe. We have
Wow.
drawings people have done. There's a strategy guide that somebody's put together with all sorts of movies and tips.
So you're basically the conduit for the fans.
That's what I try to be.
That's
It's a
awesome.
bodysuit and then she paints herself. There's a guy who painted his entire garage with Halo scenes. Just this week, somebody stopped by our forum to say they had met online playing Halo. They are now engaged and they're going to have a Halo wedding. Somebody sent in a bunch of pictures of a real AR-5 they were building from Halo.
An AR-5, which
you know-
stands for?
Assault rifle.
Clearly, I had a lot to learn.
Andy the Killing Spree.
Are you gonna take me up to this land party into the realm of dude?
These are the real fans, from the hardcore multiplayers to passionate campaigners.
Know who this is?
Yeah.
Hi!
We played last night until very, very late and we started again this morning.
Is this normal? Is this how you...
This is what it's normally like.
I'm a virgin land goer. Do you see my mind being blown right now?
What makes a true Halo fan? Is it the ranking, the amount of forum postings, or the hours logged online? Miguel Chavez is one of the earliest Bungie fans. He's been bringing players together from around the world for years.
We've had gatherings here where people come from Sweden, from England, from Scotland.
The thing that you think is great about it is this kind of stuff.
Is this kind of stuff, yeah. The fact that you can be in the same room with someone, they can kill you, and instead of you just simply yelling at the TV, you can go right to them and elbow them.
This is overwhelming.
Yes, it is, it is.
It's the fans themselves that keeps me coming back all the time. It's the creations people come up with and the love that they show through their own creativity that makes me want to put up new posts every day.
According to Claude, there are more than 7 million fans out there. The game has even spawned 3 best-selling novels. I decided to start with the man who wrote the book, literally. The author of the Halo bestsellers, Eric Nyland. He also began as a fan himself.
I was working at Microsoft Games as a writer, and someone said, "Hey, Eric, you want to write for this new Halo game that's coming out soon?" I took a look at Halo and it blew my mind, right? It was like the best video game ever. And so I said, yeah, sign me up for doing a Halo novel.
I also worked on Halo.
What did you do?
I'm a voice actor.
No way.
I voiced Cortana in Halo. Yes.
It's the stick it.
Bet
you can't stick it. Now I recognize your voice. Oh my God.
So my question to you, or what I'm interested in, is
You're
when
famous.
So are you. How much are you influenced by what the fans want?
While we were writing the book, A lot of people were guessing the latest one, what the plot would be, and eventually, most of them kind of pieced parts of it together. If you look in the forums, it was like someone had stolen my outline. They're this huge collectively thinking organism. You know, if they ever got organized really well, I'd never have to write a novel. They'd just figure it all out.
Could they take over the world?
They probably could.
Some fans write about Halo. Some make their own art and movies. I had heard about Machinima, fans who create videos using actual game footage. Each month, hundreds of new ones are posted online. There are even entire clans devoted to movie making. So I traveled down to Texas to meet some guys who had turned this into a full-time career.
Action.
The men of Rooster Teeth and their Halo comedy, Red vs. Blue.
Everybody loves Red versus Blue.
Everybody loves Red versus
You
Blue?
know that?
I think there's a couple animators out there that aren't too fond of Red versus Blue. That's just my feeling. So.
Oh, really? Why?
Because we take their animations and do stupid stuff with them. Like, they spend hours making the Master Chief crouch in a realistic manner, and then we use it to make some obscene joke.
And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Good, work those hammies. How would you rate the humiliation factor?
High.
Another vital test of mission-critical technology.
Can we stop now?
Why Halo?
Because we were playing it about 17 hours a day.
I think we were looking at the Warthog and trying to figure out why they called it a Warthog. We were like, why are we in a video game and just staring at this Jeep? Why aren't we killing each other?
I mean, it's kind of like anything. I mean, filmmakers who make stuff, they just make whatever their world is. Our world at the time was Halo.
Can I be in Red versus Blue?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Would you want to be in Red vs. Blue?
Yeah.
Might be a step down, don't you think? You know, I auditioned for Cortana. One more core to go.
Nice.
Nice, like that?
You want to have a smackdown? One more core to go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's rough. See, that's why she got the part.
Wants, yeah.
Son of a bitch.
I do have a certain knack for doing Cortana's voice. What I didn't realize is that I'd actually inspired fans to do their own creations. There have been hundreds of Halo-related songs posted, and as I was about to find out, some of them are even about my character.
Matt Cox!
Hey!
Hi!
Hi!
So you've written a song you've written many songs.
Mhm.
One of them in particular is Death of Cortana?
Death of Cortana.
Which created a lot of buzz and got everybody really scared.
After reading the Eric Nyland books, and Cortana started to malfunction a little. It was like, wow, maybe they're kind of giving hints to what's going to happen with her. Kind of starts off a little slow,
Right.
kind of builds up to
To the tragedy.
more
How
the
did she
media-
die, you think?
I think she's just so full of too much information and trying to process too much, she just eventually kind of implodes.
Okay.
Yeah. You have kind of a dialogue, you
Right.
know, with Cortana through the
In
entire
your
game.
head.
So you've spent hours, you know, listening to her. So
Right. And what does she sound like?
just like a normal girl that you would just kind of talk with and be friends with.
Someone you'd hang out with.
Yeah.
Someone who'd come over to your house and hang out with you. And what kind of things does Cortana say?
You sound like her.
Do I? Does she say things
I just
like,
why did
yank me? Or...
It's ridiculous that I did not realize I was talking to Jen Taylor the entire time. All right, I'm fired. I am totally fired from Halo fandom of ever. So don't die.
I was
we don't
gonna
want
say,
to.
that's-
Is
I
it
was a little
freaking you out?
frightened.
Oh my gosh, how embarrassing. Red face.
Some fans, like Matt, enjoy Halo for the story. And some go pro. I wanted to meet the hardcore professional gamers, the money winners on MLG Pro Circuit. There's only been Halo tournaments since 2003, but some players were already earning $250,000 contracts. I'd heard about teams like Carbon and Final Boss. But when I found out about a clan of girl pros down in Texas led by twin sisters, I had to go.
Hi! We're doing a LAN party right now. Barbecue, we've got some games going on. Great projector that's got gameplay.
Hot chicks who play Halo.
Yes. 500 girls worldwide, also known as Pandora's Mighty Soldiers or the PMS clan.
Oh yeah? The original meaning of PMS? Psycho Menslayers.
You had me at Halo. That is our expression. It is. I wouldn't even be playing professionally or competitively if it wasn't for Halo. I used to be 60 hours a week in a suit in an office, so did she, and I quit it to do gaming full time. It's our passion.
Who are you?
Psychotic gamers. You can come play with us. It's because playing with a girl is a totally different experience. Can you say something? Give me a line.
Bet you can't stick it.
Oh, yeah, that one is awesome. That was like perfect. Yeah. I killed you. And you know what else I think Cortana would like? Where's the beer? We're not just all down home in Texas. We do have some wine if you'd like it. This ain't Prince here's to Cortana.
Those chicks were awesome. I just wanted to hang out there all night, but I had a plane to catch. And a date with a quiet furniture maker who had become synonymous with his own Flash games based on Halo. Everyone had been mentioning his name.
Bowl.
Bowl.
Go visit Bowl.
Bowl? Hi, I'm looking for
Hello.
Andreas/Bowl. Have I found him?
Yeah, that's me.
School! You're still living at your parents' house.
Yeah.
Bol is such an unassuming guy. He seems to think his games aren't worth much. But the fans talk about him and his simple but addictive games with reverence. Maybe that's because he's mastered the important questions, like, how many grenades does it take to flip a warthog?
Warthog launch.
Yes, this is also inspired from the movie Warthog Jump by Randall Glass.
So you've created this little game too?
Yeah. Ooh, I stink at this.
You stink at your own game? You know who I am and you haven't said anything?
Of course.
When did you put it together?
Well, I've seen you in many photos.
I admire you and your Swedish ways. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
We're visiting, true fanatics about this game, Halo. They're all so different from each other. That's really what we're finding in this journey. They aren't just players. They're artists and game makers who give each other recognition online. Inspired by the game, they spend hours to bring the world of Halo to life, from the vehicles to the gear. I'd heard about one that could hook me up with some Mjolnir armor.
Hi.
Are you Colin?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Colin. I'm Jen
Yes.
from Bungie.
I believe we've met before,
Have we
actually.
met before?
Very briefly at the Bungie Fan Fest at E3 2003. Do you remember the guy who was dressed up like one of the Halo Marines with a big assault rifle?
that you?
That was me.
It was the one event I'd ever attended. And who could forget that gear?
This is my father's studio.
This is where you've built your armor. This feels fantastic in my hands.
Like I said, this is just a prototype, so we've discarded this one. This was also a prototype, and we are actually currently in the process of rebuilding it. The Velcro secures here and here. This is our final version of the helmet.
I have made a transition from Cortana to Master Chief. Colin, I'm steaming up this helmet in here. I think I'm gonna pass out.
All right.
Colin?
This is my father.
Hi.
We
How
have
do you do?
built the armor together.
Nice to meet you. So what do you think of your son's obsession with Halo, and how lovely that you joined him in building this?
It's certainly worth doing, because he's worth doing it with. My best friend.
I love my dad.
Some fans are regular guys who build alien hardware.